Welcome to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Flash, and it's La Liga. We've just had a load of La Liga games, and now we're starting again. It's the beginning of a massive week. What did we actually learn? Well, some sides were bang at it, and it was the normal teams that were bang at it. Your Barcelona, your Real Madrid, and there was a few that really struggled, like Betis, like Sociedad. Now, if you like this video, then please subscribe, press the button, and give us a thumbs up for your appreciation. I've got a new special guest, and we will let you know whenever there's any content. You will never miss any before. And if you press the link in the description, then you'll go over to our articles page, and you can just read many sports, many articles. You'll have great fun. Now, last week, we went to Valencia and we had Paco from La Liga Lowdown. This week, we're going to go to Madrid and we've got Euan McTear. Euan, how are you, sir?
Yeah, very good. How are yourselves?
Yeah, very, very good. What did you make of the first round of games?
Yeah, very intense. Glad to be back with some La Liga action. And yeah, like you were saying, a few mismatches there in terms of the physicality. Some teams you could tell maybe had been spending their lockdown the same way I'd been spending mine, drinking beer and eating pizza. And then some of them you could tell they'd been right at it. Real Madrid especially, you could tell they were looking pretty fit in that first half. And yeah, that's been the difference in some of the games we saw over the weekend.
So maybe going forward, we'll give it a thought that those at the top, I mean, Barcelona and Real Madrid, they can't afford to slip up, so they've got to be on their game. Now, going at the other end of the table, you look at Mallorca. Mallorca, obviously, they get all their points at home, and then their first visitors, behind closed doors, so they've got no crowd to help them, is Barcelona, and they win 4-0. Euan?
Yeah, absolutely. And with Mallorca, I think the thing that I was speaking to one Mallorca fan, and he was saying it was kind of like a friendly for Mallorca, for them coming back in this one. It was we didn't have friendlies in La Liga. Some of the Premier League teams organising friendlies to get into shape. Mallorca didn't have that, but against Barcelona, they were never going to win anyway, were they? So at least they had a big team, a glamour friendly, something like that. They didn't get any points, but now they can tackle the final 10 games of the season with a game under their belts a bit sharper.
So that's Euan. And now, obviously, on the other side is Martin Green. Martin, if you're going to play practice games or you're going to have games behind closed doors and the intensity, the last team you want to play is the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Yeah, they're horrendous teams to be playing right now because clubs can make 5 substitutions. So teams with deep squads full of attacking talent are terrifying to play against right now. Real Madrid threw on Gareth Bale and Vinicius Jr. in the second half. That's terrifying for defenders with weary legs. We saw Suarez come on in the second half of Barcelona to replace Antoine Griezmann. That sort of squad depth, they didn't even have to use Ansu Fati in that game. That sort of squad depth, I think, will stand you in really good stead right now. There's a busy pit fixture period, very congested coming up. So, yeah, I fancy the top teams to continue that form and some of the smaller clubs to struggle.
Yeah, they're going to struggle. And the big thing for me is that maybe angles we can look at is those at the bottom of the table that are really desperate to get something out of some of the games. And you've got Barcelona, Real Madrid, who cannot slip up because there's just nothing between them. So let's crack straight on. Euan, I'm going to come to you first. We've got Real Betis, and they're plus 100, draw plus 260. Granada plus 300. How do you see the game?
Well, Betis, you said at the top there, Flash, that Betis is one of the teams that came back not looking too good, did they? And Granada, on the other hand, they won their first game back. Granada keeping up some of the good form that they'd shown earlier in 2020. And Granada actually have quite a lot to play for now because they're creeping up on the table. They could maybe qualify for Europa League. If 7th place is going to be Europa League, which we think it will be because of the way the Cup has worked out this year, then Granada have a good chance, a newly promoted side, to go and qualify for Europe. Real Betis, they're just that little bit further away in that sort of mid-table danger zone where maybe they don't really have much to play for. And if they didn't show much fire, much passion in the derby against their biggest rival, Sevilla, in the first game back, I mean, what are they going to show in this game against Granada? It is also kind of a bit of a rivalry, you know, an Andalusian derby, but not the big derby for Betis was Sevilla, and they fell up pretty short there. So I'm fancying Granada for this one. Betis, of course, at home, but Granada, I really like this team. They really impressed me.
Yeah, and the big thing is, Martin, that Granada came back from a goal down. They came back and won 2-1. And Betis didn't show anything. And if they're not going to show anything again, and now Granada have got that little bit of a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, then maybe the draw no bet or double chance the away side.
Yeah, definitely. They really impressed me, Granada. I thought Getafe are a very good side this season. Went there, picked up a 2-1 victory. Very, very impressive. Absolutely underwhelmed by Betis. That was the first game back. I was really excited to watch it. I was on both teams to score. I thought, Sevilla poor at the back. There's no way this dynamic attacking forward line for Real Betis isn't going to get on the score sheet. But they were so lethargic. They were absolutely dreadful in the final third. No cutting edge. It was really, really disappointing. And like Ewan said, if you can't motivate yourself for a big derby like that, how are you going to get on against Granada? This is the sort of team that I think will struggle in the second half of the season. Then, like you said, they're not going for Europe. They're safe of relegation danger. So yeah, I think they're a good team to be opposing. I was looking at giving a plus 0.75 Asian handicap to Granada at odds of 1.75.
Yeah, sounds good. Go with Granada on the draw, and then you shouldn't be too far away. Knowing our luck, Betis needed that game just to shake off the cobwebs. Now let's move on. Then here, Getafe at plus 100. Everyone thought Getafe would come out the traps, and they get beat last week. Draw plus 230, and Espanyol at 360. Ewan, Espanyol comfortable.
Yeah, Espanyol coming back with a win, but I mean, take that win with a pinch of salt because they were playing Alaves. They won 2-0, but the Alaves goalkeeper got sent off after 20 minutes. So take that Espanyol win with a pinch of salt. But I do actually like Espanyol for this run in the season because remember at the start of the season, they were in the Europa League. They finished 7th last year. They were in Europa League. So at the start of the season, they built a squad thinking of Europa League, thinking of Thursday night games. Okay, maybe they didn't do a great job of building that squad because, well, they're bottom of the table, but they at least have some depth in the squad. They're used to playing midweek games, and I think when the games come thick and fast, Espanyol are going to be used to it. Getafe, of course, in this game, they're also a team that have been in Europa League, but Getafe have one of the oldest squads in all of La Liga, and yeah, they looked a bit tired in that first game back. Marc Cucurella, one of the younger players, he looked really good, but some of the older guys didn't really look too sharp in their first game back. So Espanyol with fresh legs, a deep squad. Getafe, one of the older squads in the league. Maybe games every few days isn't going to suit them. So yeah, I do quite like Espanyol for the run-in the season, maybe even in this game.
Do you fancy both teams to score, Ewan?
Not particularly because, well, Espanyol have been pretty bad at scoring all season and Getafe have had one of the best defensive records. So if there's one thing you can do well, even when you're a bit tired, it's set up a good defence, I think. So Getafe have lots of clean sheets in them, so I don't think I'd ever be confident about betting on both teams to score when Getafe are involved. But yeah, Getafe pretty strong defensively, but like I said, not a great start back.
Martin, you makes a great point there that we saw in Bundesliga is that the sides that have the young, like whippersnappers, the young boys that are naturally fit, that's not going to take a few weeks to get going, they have really come to the fore and they've got points. Now you look at some of the Spanish sides and you've got the older boys, maybe they'll be ready like for next season and they'll use this as their pre-season.
Yeah, they may well do. It's difficult for Getafe because they're really fighting for a top four place. I expected a much better showing from them against Granada. As I say, was very impressed with them earlier this season and in the last campaign. And they were doing very well in Europe as well, and they were juggling both things a lot better, I would argue, than Espanyol. But yeah, they've had a real rejuvenation, Espanyol, since buying de Tomar in the January transfer window, changing managers again. They were dreadful in the first half of the season, but obviously spent a bit of money in January and it kind of helped. So I think they will have the bit between their teeth in the remaining 10 games of the season. I do think they might get out of relegation danger. It's definitely worrying for the teams above them. But yeah, I wouldn't be confident betting on them to go to Getafe and win this game. You can get 1.65 on both teams not scoring and 2.3 on both teams to score. So both teams to score is definitely the underdog in this fixture, but I think I'm going to take a punt on it. I think Getafe will get on the score sheet. They lost 2-1 to Granada, so they've got a point to prove. But I just think Espanyol now, they're really fighting for their lives. I think they can go there and get on the score sheet. I think it could be 1-1, maybe 2-1 to one of the teams. So yeah, I'm going to stick my neck out. Both teams to score 2.3.
Yeah, I don't think you're sticking your neck out. I think that obviously Espanyol got something to fight for. Getafe, you put two wrongs, you normally come up with a positive. So for me, I think that both teams will score. And at 2.3, that's great value. Let's move on. Villareal at minus 175, the draw, plus 350. And Mallorca, who are getting closer and closer to that trapdoor, at plus 500. Euan, Mallorca don't get any points on the road. They start off with a 4-0 defeat at home to Barcelona. And now all of a sudden they've got to go to Villareal, who don't let many goals in.
Exactly. Villareal played against Celta Vigo at the weekend. They played really well. They only won 1-0 with a last-minute winner, but they deserve to have put that game to bed much earlier. So Villareal, Mallorca, I mean, I'm going to have to lean towards Villareal in this one. Mallorca, as you said, they get almost all of their points at home. Just one away win this season for Mallorca, and that was against Eibar, who's down there struggling. Villareal are not the kind of team that's down there struggling. I don't think they're going to give up anything at home. They've actually got a really nice initiative at Villareal. In the stands, they've got cardboard cutouts of all the fans. We saw that in a couple of the Bundesliga games. In La Liga, we've not really seen that. So, I don't know, maybe these cardboard fans can cheer Villareal on. And speaking of cards, we've got the return of Estrada Fernandez, the referee in this game. He is the referee who gives out the most yellow cards in La Liga. He's the only one who's given out 100, more than 100 already this season. So the return of Estrada Fernandez, the referee, maybe that's something to look at as well in this game between Villareal and Mallorca, because I think in terms of the final result, it's going to be pretty one-sided.
Yeah, my only downside with the cards is that if it's like a training game, there's hardly any challenges going in, there's no intensity. But I mean, I think we're going to need.
That's a good point, because we saw Mallorca actually against Barcelona, the first half hour of the match, not a single foul for the first time I think ever in La Liga. No fouls in the first half hour of the match, but we saw a lot more in the second half. So I think the Mallorca coach is going to make sure his players go in with a bit more intensity this time around.
Yeah, and the big thing with Mallorca is they did have a go. I mean, they had a lot of possession and they had a lot of strikes on goal. In fact, I think they had more shots on Barcelona's goal than Barcelona did on theirs. But again, we're talking about to nth degree, because obviously one is absolutely magnificent and one is struggling for their life. Martin, we can't see Mallorca getting anything here. Do we go with Villareal minus 1.5?
Yeah, maybe. I think just if you were just going to go for a straight Villarreal win, that would have to be banker. You'd have to put that in any accumulators. Obviously, we know that Mallorca have a terrible away record. I think they've lost 10 out of 13 games on the road this season. They would hope maybe that now they're not playing in front of hostile crowds, their away form might pick up. But obviously, because they're based on the island, they have to fly. That whole process seems to affect them, and they really struggle on the road. So yeah, I think Villarreal were very impressive last time out against Celta Vigo. Really, actually fancied Celta Vigo to get a result from that game, but it was a very controlled performance. And I think they will just ease to another victory. Whether it will be by 1 goal or 2, I'm not 100% sure. I was actually just looking at Villarreal to win and the under 4.5 goals. You can get 1.91 on that.
Oh, I like that. I can definitely see this just being a nice cruising 2-0. I like the -1, -1.5. But Villarreal and under 4.5, I think that's the best I've heard so far. Let's put it that way. Okay, here we go then. Barcelona -500, a draw, +680. And poor old Leganes at +1800. Euan, Barcelona straight back into their stride.
Absolutely. 65 seconds it took for them to score when they returned against Mallorca. Arturo Vidal with that goal. Very un-Barcelona goal, actually. Cross into the box and a header. So they started on the front foot. Messi got back amongst the goals. Jordi Alba, who's actually suspended for this one. I actually have a sneaking suspicion that Jordi Alba forced that yellow card because he knows how easy it's going to be at home to Leganes. So that he'll be back for Friday's game against Sevilla. So Barcelona, a very comfortable fixture, this one at home against a struggling side in the form of Leganes. Leganes with their second bottom, they've had a calamitous season. They gave away a goal when they just came back. Leganes, I just can't see them doing anything against Barcelona because, well, Leganes, they gave away their striker, Martin Braithwaite, to Barcelona in February. It was a bit controversial because, remember, Barcelona had to get an emergency signing because Ousmane Dembele picked up an injury and they were allowed to go and sign and pinch Braithwaite, Leganes' best player, and Leganes couldn't sign a replacement. So Leganes looking very toothless up front. The only creative signs that I saw at the weekend from Leganes was from Oscar Rodriguez, the Real Madrid loanee, But for this game, he's suspended too, so I don't really give Leganes a hope.
My favourite part of the weekend was actually doing the Mallorca-Barcelona game, and it was Barcelona win both halves, Barcelona half-time, full-time, Barcelona minus 1.5, Barcelona and under 4.5. I think we go the same way, Martin. I think it's Barcelona win to nil, and any way you want to have a combination.
Yeah, I think Barcelona should cruise to victory in this game. I also agree that the Martin Braithwaite story was just scandalous. So the transfer window had closed just because Suarez was injured. They bent the rules for Barcelona and they cost the team that's fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table their most dangerous forward. It was absolutely outrageous, I think. Now he's going to go back and play against them, could be the man to break their hearts again. I was actually surprised to see him start at the weekend ahead of Suarez, but that just shows you the depth that Barcelona have got. They can bring on Fati for this game. They can even leave Griezmann on the bench and play Suarez up top with Messi out on the flank. They should just have far too much quality, far too much squad depth. Yeah, it just looks like a very, very one-sided game to me. Well, I was just going to go for Barcelona -2 Asian handicap at 1.86. I think they can win this by 3 clear goals. Barcelona, yeah, perhaps win to nil as well. Can't really see Leganes troubling them too much, but Barcelona are the most defensive side. They do leak some goals here and there, so I was just looking at the handicap instead, just in case they might win 4-1 or something like that.
The big problem you have is that some of these games, they are like training grounds. If there's one team in the world you do not want to have a training ground game against, it's Barcelona, because it's like the only time you're going to put Barcelona out their stride is when you get mixed right into them. Well, that's just not happening at the moment because obviously it's so early on the restart. So it's Barcelona any which way you want. I will do a little video before that game as well when we find the proper value. Now, I cannot believe the price of this one. It's Eibar plus 220, draw plus 210, and Bilbao plus 163. I think Bilbao were the most impressive side over the weekend that I saw, Euan. They were cohesive, they were fit, they were together, they were sharp, there was an intensity to their play. Now, is that something we can trust going forward, or is that just because the visitors?
Yeah, that's good odds for Athletic Club. I'm surprised as you are at those odds. But Eibar, one thing to keep in mind with Eibar is when they played Real Madrid and they weren't very good in the first half, a bit of a comeback in the second. But one thing to keep in mind is that Eibar's coach Mendilibar, when it comes to games against Barcelona and Real Madrid, he often just throws those games. And you look to that starting lineup from Eibar, and that's not the starting lineup they're going to put out against Athletic Club. They put a bunch of players. They put even a guy that hadn't played before. They gave him his debut against Real Madrid. So Eibar didn't really go for it as much as they will do at home against Athletic Club. Eibar's a team that do benefit a lot from home advantage, so I'm interested to see how that works out for them. When they have these local Basque derbies against teams like Athletic from just up the road, when it's at home, it's a really good atmosphere. I've been there before for a couple of them. Eibar have won a couple of them. But we already saw just before the break, remember, the only game we saw in La Liga before the coronavirus pause that was played behind closed doors was a previously postponed game between Eibar and Real Sociedad, another local Basque derby, a match that Eibar have never lost before in La Liga in their 5 years in the top flight. They lost it that day 2-1 without their fans behind them. They've often done well at home to Athletic with the fans behind them. They won't have them this time. I do think Athletic can win this one, but I would warn people that Eibar's team that they played against Real Madrid, don't look too much into that because they did rest some of the starters who'll be playing on Wednesday night.
And that's why we have Euan on from La Liga Lowdown, because they know absolutely everything that's going on, and we're going to tap into his brain and his information content just a little bit more as we get closer to them Madrid sides. Martin, Bilbao plus 163. I keep looking at it thinking, did I write that down wrong?
I was on Bilbao to draw with Atletico Madrid at the weekend, so I had 3.1 on that. So I was very pleased to see that one come in. I'm impressed by this Athletic Bilbao side, but I agree with everything Euan said. It just the derby aspect of it, that they're two Basque teams. There's a bit of a rivalry there. I just worry that might make Eibar raise their game a little bit. They've got a lot to play for. They're fighting for their lives again at the bottom of the table. They're only 2 points above the drop zone now. Athletic Bilbao, I feel they're a few points behind Villareal and Granada. They're still a little way off that Europa League place, so they're kind of languishing in mid-table. Not sure they're going to be quite as motivated. So yeah, I would be leaning to Athletic Bilbao, but I'd be worried about the draw for this game again. They do draw quite a lot of games, Bilbao. So yeah, I'm just going to pass this one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes it's best to do that. I just can't believe it. I might be just like a moth to the flames. I think that Athletic Bilbao at 1 plus 163 is just absolutely massive. Okay, Euan, Valladolid at plus 220, the draw plus 210, and Celta Vigo plus 154. And Celta Vigo, they let a lot of people down at the weekend.
Yeah, they did. They weren't impressive at all. We already mentioned it briefly when we discussed Villareal. Villareal, I think, really deserved to win that by 2 or 3. Only the Celta Vigo goalkeeper kept them in it for as long as they were in it. And the thing with Celta Vigo all season is they're on to, their second coach, Oscar Garcia, and he's a coach with very defined ideas. He comes from the sort of Barcelona school. He likes to play a certain way. And he's been there several months now, and he just hasn't found a way to play. And even at half-time in this game against Villarreal, he completely changed the way of playing. He set up in a 4-3-3, and at half-time, he saw how poor they were, and he panicked, and he switched to a back three, and that only confused the players more, and Villarreal grew into it. And I can never really trust Celta Vigo because I don't really trust this coach, I'm afraid. He just doesn't seem to either know exactly what he's doing with the team or the players don't know how to respond. So Celta Vigo have a really talented squad. They shouldn't be as low down as they are, but I could just never trust them. And Valladolid's almost the opposite, isn't it? You look at the squad and, there's not too many players who stand out, not too many household names, but they've got a coach, Sergio, who's brought them up from the second division a few years ago. He's been there a few years now. He knows what they're doing. They're well drilled. And sometimes you've got to prefer a team that's well coached to a team with better players.
What way would you see this going? I mean, can you trust Valladolid to go and get the job done against Celta Vigo? Or do you think Celta Vigo will actually turn up and sort of put the weekend's performance to rest?
Yeah, I do like Valladolid. You can never really trust them because they do draw a lot of games as well. If there's a point there for the taking, they'll take it. You give them a little bit. This is a team that, if they're playing, any sort of quiz show or whatever, they'll bank as quickly as possible. So they do like a draw. They will settle for a draw sometimes in the final 10 minutes. But I was really impressed with the way they came back against Leganes. And if I had to pick one way and lean one way, I'm leaning Valladolid.
Okay, so we're going to go with the home side, Martin, which obviously bucks the trend because obviously we've seen in Bundesliga, the majority of away sides are winning. And then at the weekend, not many of the away sides got beat.
Yeah, they certainly are doing well. Home advantage has been totally wiped out in the Bundesliga, more away wins than home wins. And interesting to see if that's what happens in the Premier League when it restarts this month. Yeah, I was really surprised with Celta Vigo, especially the team selection. I don't know why, if you've got Smolov and you've got Denis Suarez, you keep them on the bench when they could be causing mayhem around Iago Aspas, causing all sorts of problems for the defence. They were quite negative for me in that game. Interesting insight there from you, and it's hopefully he realises that he's got to go for it a bit more and be a bit more attacking. So maybe I would wait to see the starting lineup before taking the plunge on this one. But I was actually leaning the other way. I was leaning towards Celta Vigo. Just seen him pull off a number of great escapes in recent years. I think once you get Aspas on the ball, if you give him good enough service, I think he can fire them to safety. And also because of that away trend that we've seen, I was actually looking at Celta Vigo draw no bet at 1.84.
Yeah, it seems safe, that 1.84, because we got Euan. He just basically thinks that Valladolid are probably the value. I think the draw. You think Celta Vigo. So if you can't split them, then maybe the draw is the way to go there. Now, I don't think there's any draws here. Osasuna plus 440, draw plus 240, and Atletico Madrid at minus 114, which seems unbelievable price. Now, you're in Madrid, Euan. Can you give us a little bit of what's the sound like after the 1-1 draw with Bilbao?
The sound is something like, it's just been like this all season. That was our 13th draw of the season for Atletico Madrid, which ties their record in La Liga. With 10 games to go, I'm pretty sure they're going to break it. They might even break the La Liga overall record for draws, which is 18. Only 5 more of those, and they'd break that. So, yeah, Atletico Madrid, when they've gone away from home, it's just draw. I mean, Atletico Madrid are so hard to beat. We all know that. But the reason why they don't always challenge in La Liga is you need to pick up 3 points. You can't just get one. You can go far in cup competition. You can go far in the Champions League by drawing your way through rounds, by extra timing your way through rounds. But in La Liga, you got to win some games, and Atletico just draw. Osasuna away. Osasuna are a good team. We saw them draw with Real Sociedad. You have to think that Atletico Madrid are going to get a bit of a grilling from Simeone. They're going to go there. They've got a good record against Osasuna, but you can never trust them to not draw away from home. Osasuna, one thing though you would point out is they're one of the teams that I think benefit the most in all of La Liga from their home fans. If you go to El Sadar, it's absolutely electric, the atmosphere. They claim, I don't know how true it is, but they claim they broke the decibel record for the sound inside a Spanish stadium back in the day. I'm not too sure how true that is or reliable that is, but one thing's for sure, their fans really do help them. So they might be one of the teams that miss their fans the most, and maybe Atletico Madrid can go there in a sort of training ground environment and just turn the screw.
Ewan, after having 13 draws, are the fans, are they still behind Simeone, or are they starting to lose their patience?
It's a debate that's been going on for a couple of years, and some fans want more attacking, expansive football. Other fans of a certain age remember, hey, just a couple of decades ago we were in the second division. Let's not ask for too much. And of course, they did just beat the world champions Liverpool. So, not too much frustration. Going away to Bilbao is always difficult. But if it's another draw away at Osasuna, I think then people are going to really start sighing. And it is a possibility. We've seen it too many times this season. You can't bet against Atletico Madrid drawing.
No, you can't, Martin. We look at Atletico Madrid and it's like 114, minus 114. I mean, I'm looking again and thinking that's massive.
Certainly is a massive price. I think Diego Simeone showed Athletic Bilbao quite a lot of respect at the weekend. He put out a pretty conservative lineup, really. He had Partey and Llorente in the centre with Koke and Saul Niguez. There's not a great deal of attacking thrust there. He had Carrasco up supporting Costa in attack when, he left Thomas Lemar on the bench. He could certainly have gone with a more attacking lineup. Correa was on the bench, Morata was on the bench. So I wonder if he's going to read them the riot act now and say, look, we really need to knuckle down, start picking up 3 points. We're well off the pace in the title race is obviously gone, but they need to move up to their traditional place of third, or this is going to be a real failure for them this season. So I'm definitely looking at an away win here for Atletico Madrid. If I'm putting it in an accumulator and a parlay, I would go Atletico Madrid and draw no bet, just because I'm a bit nervous about how often they do finish all square their games. But for a straight bet, I think odds of 1.88, you can't really go far wrong with Atletico Madrid. They can't keep drawing games, and Osasuna represents a good opportunity for them, I think, to get back to winning ways. They don't have a great deal left to play for this season, so now's the time to do it.
And the big thing is we cannot forget is that Atletico Madrid could have and should have probably won the game against Bilbao, and Bilbao were probably the better side. I mean, missing that chance at the back post with like 10 minutes to go, and that you wouldn't have been surprised if they'd have put that away and won the game 2-1, even though it wasn't fully deserved. Okay, Alaves plus 320, the draw plus 240, and Real Sociedad, who were half asleep in the first half this weekend, at plus 100, Ewan.
Yeah, they were half asleep. But the thing with Alaves, okay, so they lost at the weekend, but we mentioned before that was because their goalkeeper had, he was half asleep. He had a bit of a brain fart, came out, handled the ball outside the box and got himself sent off 20 minutes into the game. There's a consequence of that, which is that he's now suspended for this game. And Pacheco is one of the better goalkeepers in the league. He's a really good player for Alaves. And I would say he's maybe their second most important player behind Lucas Perez, who's also an injury doubt. So, Alaves, I'm not too sure about them, because the thing with Alaves and Lucas Perez, he's had a great season. Joselu as well, the other striker next to him. But in the whole of the rest of the squad, they don't have a single other centre forward. Not anyone to back up. So when you don't have Lucas Perez, if he's injured, when Joselu was missing, suspended like he was at the weekend, they have to find solutions. They have to put wingers in different places. Oliver Burke, the Scottish winger in La Liga, he might have to play up front, and, it's not ideal. So Alaves, they're lacking something up front. They're lacking something in goals. Real Sociedad, surely they're going to be a bit more woken up for this one. So I do like Real Sociedad. I don't know about the value, but I do like Real Sociedad.
Yeah, I mean, they say the trend is your friend. Sociedad didn't even bother at the weekend. Maybe they came into it second half, but now they go away from home, and just being away from home seems to be an advantage mine.
Yeah, it was a very lacklustre performance from Real Sociedad. I was disappointed with it. I've been impressed with them all season. They've got such good quality players going forwards. Yeah, fully expected them to beat Osasuna. So, yeah, that did make me a little bit sceptical of their chances this weekend. But there you go, more good insight from you. And if obviously they haven't got a striker, obviously we know their goalkeeper's going to be suspended. That would make you sort of lean towards Real Sociedad. You can double your money. It's even money on the away win there. So that does look like a good one. I'm probably still going to pass it, I think, just because I wasn't really sure about Real Sociedad in that game. Bit worried they draw again. But we have said multiple times throughout this video that they've got a lot more to play for. They're currently sitting in fourth. Alaves look to have a reasonable cushion above the relegation zone. And we've also said that away teams do well. So it's telling you everything's moving in Sociedad's favour, isn't it? So at 2.0, yeah, why not go for it?
Yeah, I think that everything's pointing towards Sociedad. Absolutely everything. Get the cobwebs blown away at the weekend. Go away from home against an Alaves side that they are feet up on the sofa, looking forward to next season. No dangers. There's no reason for their intensity. No reason to get injured. So yeah, I'd go with the away side again. Now, Real Madrid. Minus 250, they opened up at minus 200, so the money's piling on, or an overreaction to their first half performance at the weekend. Draw plus 400, and Valencia plus 630. You're in Madrid, Euan. And do they think, is there like a massive confidence that they're going to win the title this year and overtake Barcelona?
There is confidence because I think so far they've played better football than Barcelona, and Real Madrid in this stretch of the season, they've got such a deep squad. Martin mentioned it at the start of the programme about how Barcelona didn't even put on Ansu Fati. Real Madrid didn't even put on James Rodriguez. He was sitting on the bench the whole time. They used all 5 subs. They used 16 players, and they didn't even get towards James Rodriguez. That's how deep their bench is. So Real Madrid, yeah, they've got the squad to do well in this run-in, but obviously this specific game against Valencia is a tough one. Valencia have given them a lot of problems in recent times. Remember, of course, the game earlier in the season, that dramatic 1-1 where Thibaut Courtois almost scored the equaliser and then Karim Benzema put it away. That was a great euphoric moment for Real Madrid, but let's not remember they dropped points. And yeah, Valencia, a difficult team for Real Madrid. And one thing I would say about this one is in all of this round that's coming up, there's only one team that's got a full 2 extra days of rest compared to the team they play, and one team that's got a full 2 less days of rest. And it's in this game. You've got Real Madrid playing on Sunday most recently. Valencia played on Friday. Valencia, of course, so they drew against Levante and they gave away a really late penalty. And Paco, our friend Paco, was on last week with you guys, and I've spoken to Paco since then, and he's distraught because Mukhtar Diakabi just gave away another penalty when it was just absolutely needless. He'd given away 2 in Valencia's game against Atalanta just before the break, and Paco's a little bit distraught about all of this. And the worrying thing for Paco is Ezequiel Garay is still out injured. Gabriel, the other starting centre-back, is still in injury doubt, so Diakabi might have to play again. He played alongside the youngster Guillamon, who had a really good game, I thought, but remember, this guy is really young and they're coming up against Real Madrid and Karim Benzema, who's just so intelligent. So Valencia's centre-backs do worry me, but I do like the fact that Valencia have got a full 2 days rest at this point in the season. I think that's massive.
Yeah, but as you also say, is that they hardly have played a game because they were absolutely on cruise control, the Whites. And then obviously they bring on 5 subs as well. Just pin your colours to the mast, and who's your Spanish team, please?
Well, I do like Eibar. I spent a lot of time up in Eibar, so I'm always rooting for them. And then in Madrid, I've got to back Atletico Madrid. They're always good fun. Although I say that, this is the team I just mentioned had 13 draws, but usually they're good fun. It's never boring.
That's good. That's good. So we always know, because obviously when we listened to Paco last week, he's in Valencia. He's a Valencia fan. So yeah, he's right to be distraught. Martin, Real Madrid, Valencia. How do we find the value? Because I'm thinking maybe anytime goal scorer or Benzema to score more than 1.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I appreciate that they have had fewer days in which to recover and prepare for this game. But like we said, the squad depth of Real Madrid, I think, is the deciding factor in this one. They could just bring on Bale instead, start Gareth Bale. I also really would be worried about Valencia's centre halves. Remember Gabriel very, very well from his Arsenal days, and I don't think he's going to be much help if he comes back. Arsenal actually destroyed Valencia last season in the Europa League. Arsenal aren't a great team, so we know that. I just think Real Madrid should be far too good for them. It was a disappointing draw for Valencia. I thought they would get the job done there, but I did pass because I was worried about the draw, and that turned out to be the right decision. It's a ferocious title race now between Barcelona and Real Madrid. They know they can't slip up. I think they're going to engage in a really fascinating battle in the remaining weeks of the season. I think it's going to be very, very close. And I think you've got to back both teams every weekend, really.
Yeah.
I was just looking at, again, I'm going to go under 4.5 goals. I know that Valencia do have defensive problems, but I just think a controlled victory for Real Madrid, take off a few big players in the second half and see out the game. Real and under 4.5 goals is 1.85.
Yeah, and it seems the sensible way to go, Martin, because they're get themselves in front, take their foot off the gas. There's no medals for winning 5 and 6-0 now. It's all about just getting maximum points from the victory. Okay, Martin, can you give me a rundown of your selections, please, and your banker?
Sure. So I'm going to go for Granada plus 0.75 Asian handicap at 1.75. Both teams to score at 2.3 in that Getafe versus Espanyol game. Villareal and under 4.5 goals when they take on Mallorca. That's 1.91. Giving Barcelona a -2 Asian handicap against the Leganes at 1.86. Celta Vigo draw no bet, 1.84. Atletico to go to Osasuna and win at 1.88. Yeah, I am starting to lean more and more towards that even money on Real Sociedad. That's another good one. And Real Madrid and under 4.5 goals at 1.85 in their game against Valencia.
Yeah, it all seems a little bit simple. You and I didn't do this to Paco, but do you have a favourite out of these this round of matches?
Yeah, I think it's the one that we all kind of really liked early on, Villareal at home to Mallorca. I mean, I think, that's one that you can, Mallorca I don't think they're going to get anything from that one. So I really like Villareal, and I do like that Benzema goal scorer bet you mentioned earlier, because if someone's going to be able to exploit those Valencia centre-backs, it could be Benzema. So that's another one that stands out as me, is that I'm taking away from this video here.
Excellent. Okay, so if you like this video, then please subscribe, stick your thumbs up, ring the bell, and we will notify you, and you'll never miss any content. Again, now, if you press the link in the description, you can go over and get the article, the parlays. Second round, we were ready to go. We are ready to go. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you press the thumbs up on the way out. Ewan, I hope you've enjoyed it. All the best over there in Madrid. We will see you again soon. Remember, we're La Liga again on this Friday, because obviously there's so many games to cover. So we will be covering the games on Friday as well. Martin, good luck, and I will see you on Friday. Ewan, thanks again, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Flash.
Take care.
Look forward to it.
Enjoy the La Liga, and we will see you again on Friday. You take care.